All right, before we get to Drew, I want to address the Tennessee-Miami game because we didn't get to that. Just to go through that the way we did the Giants. Giants, okay, Dolphins first drive started their own 28. This is a drive where they had like multiple injuries. They matriculate. Second and goal, the Tennessee 2. Tua fumbles the snap. He recovers it. He's hit by Jaleel Johnson. He fumbles again. T.K. McClendon Jr. recovers. All right, first Dolphins gaff. Tennessee then returns the favor and they say, don't worry about your gaff. We'll give it right to you. Levis throws it point-blank range to Zach Zeeler. Pick 6 from 5 yards out, 7-0. Miami, fourth play of the ensuing drive, Tua to Reek, 6-yard loss, tackled awkwardly by Sean Murphy bunting. Looks like a serious injury. He gets up dramatically and sprints off, but we wouldn't see him again until the second half. Tennessee gets a game-tying drive, 14 plays, 86 yards. Henry in from short distance, 7-7. That was a drive assisted by Bradley Chubb getting penalized, if you remember, for taking off his helmet after getting frustrated that he had Levis hemmed in but couldn't sack him on a third down play that would have forced a field goal. Then Sanders gets a field goal blocked. Folk gets a field goal. We go into halftime. Tennessee's up 10-7. Miami has 0 offensive points. Let's fast forward. It's 13-10 now after they trade field goals. Miami, last play, third quarter. Tyreek is back in the game. Immediately, Tua to Tyreek for 23. 2 plays later to Tyreek for 25. That gets him a field goal to tie it up at 13 apiece. Tennessee 3 and out. All right. Miami punts, but Jake Bailey's punt. This is late. This is now in the fourth quarter. 13-13 game. Jake Bailey punts. An inexplicable decision by Eric Guerra, I believe you pronounce it, to field a punt that bounced, hits him, can't corral it, recovered by Elijah Campbell. Miami set up first and goal to Tennessee 7. 2 plays later, Mostert in from 3. Miami up 7. 5:28 left in the game. First play from scrimmage ensuing drive. Levis pitch to Henry, doesn't get there. Fumble recovered by Chubb. Sets up Miami at the Tennessee 12. 2 plays later, and an offside. Mostert in from 5. And all of a sudden, from maybe losing the game, Miami is not only winning it, but they might cover.
They're covering.
And you're like, what am I watching? By the way, you're watching both games, so maybe you're not watching any one of them carefully.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Tennessee then. This is, again, less than 3 minutes into this game. Less than 3 minutes left in this game. They're down 2 touchdowns. It's a 9-play, 75-yard drive. It took only 154. Everything on Levis's arm. To Hopkins from 3 out. Then down 8. What does Mike Vrabel do?
Go for 2.
Goes for 2, and they get it to Westbrook-Akine. So now it's a 6-point game. Then, I mean, here's the thing about McDaniel. This was a terrible sequence for them because the Titans kick it away. They have all 3 timeouts left, and Miami goes run, and then a penalty. Titans don't even have to use all 3 of their timeouts. They get the ball back, take over at their own 36 with 2:15 to go. They're down 6. Immediately, Levis to Hopkins for 36, then to Okonkwo for 15. 2 minutes to go. 2 plays later, Henry in from 4. They're winning by a point with 1:49 to go, and then Miami with no timeout start at their own 26. They get it to 4th and 2 at their own 48. Tua gets sacked. Ball game. 767 times in a row. Down 14. Less than 3 minutes to go. Teams lost until last night. We bring in Drew Dinsick from the Deep Dive. And, of course, Bet the Edge podcast from NBC Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at whale_capper. Sorry to subject you to all that, Drew, by the way.
Oh, no, that was a perfect recap. And I mean, do you want to spend this entire 7 minutes talking about that game? Because that was like the truly insane stuff. I have never seen anything like it.
I mean, there's so many tentacles to this. And you can start wherever you want, which is, first of all, what a horrible loss for the Dolphins. Again, like the Jaguars last week, could have been the number 1 seed, got to the doorstep of it, couldn't get there. Vrabel on the analytics, that's another sort of tentacle. Did Tyreek enhance his MVP candidacy by how anemic the Dolphins were without him on the field and how good they were with him? And then did Mike McDaniel's Coach of the Year candidacy go out the window? I mean, there's so many things. You start wherever you'd like on that.
Yeah, McDaniel belly flop, no question. Vrabel analytics was a complete surprise. I have to tear up my my Mike Vrabel characterization file. Rethink that one. Brilliant decision by him. The Tua performance was shocking. I thought. Granted, some of that is he's working behind now an offensive line that's dealing with cluster injuries. Cluster injuries matter. New center in game, like that definitely had an impact. As noted with the key fumble on the first scoring opportunity. But that's worth following going forward. The Tyreek Hill MVP case, I think, falls a little flat. Number one, because he doesn't accrue the stats he needs to get to 2,000. He needed to break the record, I think, to really be considered. And honestly, if anything else, what happened yesterday shows you like how much more important the quarterback position is. I thought, like, that if you have a guy that's not able to get it done, then that's kind of the more important than if you have a wide receiver who can break open the game. But we'll see what people think. I think he's still squarely like gets fourth or fifth. People are going to vote for him, but he's not going to beat out these top three quarterbacks, I don't think. The Dolphins really like under the radar. The Dolphins had a bunch of injuries in game that I think mattered. A bunch of those guys returned, but they're going to be dealing with treatment all week on a short week now before they play the Jets, who are all of a sudden a very tough out. They have quietly accrued two pretty important injuries on the defensive front seven in the last 2 weeks. Jalen Phillips obviously was notable in the Jets game on Black Friday where he tore his Achilles, but Jerome Baker went out last week with an ACL, and he had played quietly 750 very, very solid snaps at middle linebacker for this Dolphins team so far, and now they're backfilling there. It was pretty obvious that, when you have a 14-point lead, you want to rush the passer successfully and put away the game, and the Dolphins weren't able to do that. And I think that's something that has to kind of stick in terms of understanding how this team's going to ultimately be able to win if and when they get into the playoffs. And it was kind of just another reminder as you get these every single week, it feels like, and have two of them on the same night was kind of insane. But it's hard to win in this league. The margins between the best and the worst are very narrow, and the ball bouncing in weird ways at the end of games can dictate things. And credit to the Titans for playing to win. The Dolphins left the door wide open for the Bills to come and pick their pocket and steal the AFC East. I guess it was a great outcome for those of us who want entertaining football, because Week 18 Dolphins Bills now is that much more likely to be your primetime game that decides the division, which is freaking awesome.
You said you had a phrase in there: if and when the Dolphins make the playoffs. I just want to have this conversation. They're 9-4. Sure. They're 9-4. They get the Jets at home this week. Then they get Dallas at home, at Baltimore, and as you just mentioned, Buffalo. Uh-oh. I mean, is there a
9-8 is 9-8 is in the realm of possibility, Gil.
Well, 10-7 certainly is. Let's give them one, right?
7,
but 10-7 should be enough, we think. But man, to even have this discussion, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is a weird year. The kind of lack of just kind of excellent teams and teams that are just able to pull away from the pack has been pretty obvious to everyone watching, I think. And I don't remember another year where we've been in the middle of December and the playoff field is this undecided, let alone seeding. There are 11 teams that are very firmly alive in both the AFC and the NFC right now. And I mean, if the goal of parity, if the goal of kind of the salary cap era was to, keep as many teams alive as long as possible, like this was sort of the exact outcome they were hoping for, because 22 teams out of 32 having a realistic, chance to have a playoff game is pretty amazing. And I mean, my entire thesis going into last week was, the market seems very sure of a lot of these division winners when it's still a lot of football left to be played and very, very small margins between these teams. And I think, I think the leaders from last week, maybe 4 out of 8 ultimately get there, 5 out of 8. Like there's going to be some chaos and some turnover at the top. Outside of the Niners winning the NFC West, I don't know that you can say with high confidence that any of these teams is, very likely to get it done. And, the fact that there are live challengers combined with the fact that the teams at the top have questions is kind of the perfect storm for this.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.